Religion was a weapon being used to colonize.
When I was in South Africa, one of the most infuriating things was learning that the European 10% minority of the population held 90% of the wealth.
The IMF, the World Bank, they're part of a global economic architecture that was designed during colonial times. The United Nations itself was designed during colonial times.
When you think about it, the complexity of the colonial systems is actually insane. And
so it was the colonizers who established the UN, it's the colonizers who established the World Bank, the IMF, and who dominated the creation of the rest of the economic architecture. So an economic architecture that was not designed by us, that was not designed for us, why do we expect it to deliver justice for us today?
The systems reinforce each other. They back up each other. There's no way you're going to break out of this matrix. Poverty exists because of religion. Religion makes the poor man understand or believe that he's deserving of what's happening to him. He can't kill the rich man, and his riches are not on earth, his riches are in heaven, even though God already gave them the riches on earth.
There is no reason in the world for us to believe that European Americans will ever educate our children correctly.
So many of our countries, Kenya included, have been essentially following to the T economic policy instructions dictated by the World Bank and IMF in particular for decades. The fact that we are still in a debt trap today, deeper in debt traps today, means one of two things. Either that these institutions are actually incompetent and we shouldn't listen to them, or they're actually doing this as part of their intentional economic entrapment. It's got to be one or the other. Either way, from our perspective, their model should be rejected. Their model of development, their instructions and prescriptions and conditionalities are designed to produce entrapment.
Anybody in their right minds would know that anyone who has systematically blocked you from knowing for 3 centuries will not change overnight, over a year, over a decade, over a score of years, or even over a century.
All right, let's look at how they got that 90% of the wealth. Ding, 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 through genocide. From the 1600s on, they've been decimating indigenous populations like the Khoisan, one of the oldest groups of human beings on the planet. 80% were wiped out by the 1800s.
I'm going to be honest, once you deconstruct from Christianity, you look at people in a completely different way. Like the people that are still very much stuck in the cult mentality of Christianity, just like the way that they will justify anything in the Bible, even if you pose very logical questions and they don't have an answer for it, they will be like, you know what, you just shouldn't question it, you should just have faith. I'm not gonna lie, once I started deconstructing, anytime I hear people talk about Christianity, they sound mentally ill. It genuinely sounds the same as when someone is manic or delusional or going through psychosis.
The British actually had a cattle killing movement to starve the Xhosa people in the 1850s, where 40,000 died of famine. So who's really killing the farmers? Overarching point being hundreds of thousands of South African people have been killed and oppressed before, during, and after apartheid to steal their land and make those farms. So we come back around to the right to exist. What this becomes a question of is, do the colonizers have a right to exist? Does the United States have a right to exist? And I can never tell you they do. Just because the United States made up some shit called Manifest Destiny does not mean they had the right to wipe out the Native Americans through genocide and work the land with slave labor. Does it exist? Yes. And we are dealing in realities right now. So I'm not saying mass murder is the answer, because I always say you can't dismantle the master's house using the master's tools. But one of the master's primary tools is to designate himself as the only one with the right to violence. They didn't acquire the land by righteous means, and so they have no right to determine what methods of resistance are acceptable.
You can't liberate a slave who found comfort in their captivity. Modern society has mastered the art of captivity, not with chains, but with comfort. Capitalism and consumerism have turned comfort into a drug, one that numbs our pain, dulls our instincts, and disconnects us from our power. We're sold convenience, ease, entertainment, indulgence, and told that this is freedom. But it's not freedom, it's sedation. We've been conditioned to avoid discomfort at all costs, to reach for the next quick fix, the next hit of dopamine, the next purchase, the next distraction. To never feel too deeply, question too much, or slow down long enough to remember who we are. But here's the truth. Growth doesn't live in your comfort zone. Awakening doesn't happen on autopilot. Liberation isn't bought, it's embodied. Discomfort isn't the enemy, It's the doorway. It's often the crack where the light gets in. The empire thrives when we stay asleep, because an awakened human who knows who they are and their power is hard to control and manipulate. They remember their soul. They seek truth over trend. They stop consuming mindlessly and start creating consciously. So what do? We don't chase suffering, but we stop running from discomfort. We meet it with presence. We choose awareness over avoidance. And we lean into the sacred work of healing, feeling, and unlearning. Because comfort can be a beautiful thing, but not when it's your cage. Liberation begins the moment you stop confusing comfort with freedom.